Recently, one of my female subscribers, and I do want to thank the both of you, asked me if I would do a video on winterizing chainsaws. So today we're going to go through the step-by-step process of everything that you should do before you put your saw away for winter. Alright, saws we're going to work on today is we got a 441 and 260. 260 is where we're going to start. And we'll start with the air filter. Now this saw, as you can see, I just got done finishing the last of the firewood, and it's really dirty, so it's a good representation of a heavily used chainsaw. Now I clean my air filters with warm water, and I just contacted Stihl before I did this just to double check that was what they recommended, and it is. So, because inevitably, especially on projects like this, I'm going to get someone rolling into the video whose particular hobby horse is chainsaw maintenance, and they will call me out on all the mistakes I make. So it is approved by authorized Stihl mechanics. So there. All right. Now the first thing, we don't want to get all this material obviously in our water, so we're going to blow it out with our compressor. But we also want to be very careful to put a piece of plastic or a shop towel that's reasonably clean inside the throttle body there of the carburetor. We don't want to get any stuff in there. And also on this style of filter here, we'll clog these openings, because all that sawdust and oil and such is going to fly around, and we don't want it inside. Once we get the air cleaner sprayed out, let's go ahead and spray out all of this area, get rid of all the sawdust. We can rinse this out. So while that air filter is drying, let's go ahead and put a new spark plug in it. Get a new spark plug every year. Nice thing about Stihl saws, as well as Husqvarna's, is that they all take the same spark plug. From the little ones down up to the big ones. It's always the same, so that's really nice. If you have multiple saws, and I recommend that you do have 2 saws. Now don't throw away your old spark plugs. It was working fine when you took it out. What I do is I keep a nice supply of spark plugs for my saws in my chainsaw toolkit, and what I'll do is just put the old spark plug back in the box. And then I'll take a Sharpie and just put a cross, an X across there. And that way I know that there's a viable spark plug in there, but it's not a brand new one. I'll know as soon as I look at it, but just as a quick reference. So new spark plugs come pre-gapped, so I don't have to worry about that. Alright, with the new spark plug installed, let's go ahead and reinstall our air filter. So I keep a few parts in my toolkit in this container, some type of container to keep it clean, and I always take my toolbox when I'm using my saws, and so I know I have these things. I keep several spark plugs that fit all of my saws, and then some extra drive gears, fuel filters, and we'll be replacing all these today. So let's get started on the drive section now. So let's remove the side cover. And then we'll remove the bar and the chain. We'll come back to those. And as you can see, the saw, I just got done using it, is really dirty. So we'll want to take and blow all this out before we change the sprocket. When you're blowing out your saw, be sure to don't neglect this grill section here that's by your pull start, because a lot of the air for the saw is drawn in through here for cooling, and that gets clogged up with chips and dust. So while we're in here, let's go ahead and replace this drive sprocket. This is a wear item on a saw, very cheap. You can pick these up for less than $10. You should definitely have one for all your saws in your kit. As you can see right here how this is chewed up, and these will fail on you. They'll go bad and your wood cutting day will be over. So, and again, don't throw this away. This is still a viable part. However, we'll put a new one on there and just keep this as a spare. So now to our bar, I'll take and wipe down the big stuff on both sides. And one thing we want to pay special attention to is there's a series of holes right here you can see. These larger holes are the mounting holes right here that are the pin holes for the tensioner. The small hole is the one that's really critical. That's the oil hole, and that can get clogged up very easily. You want to always watch that whenever you're tightening your chain or changing your bar around, that you make sure you blow that out. That's how the lubrication gets into the rail of the bar and lubricates the chain. And there's one on both sides. You'll often see guys will run their chainsaw bars this way, or sometimes you'll see them upside down. It's not because they didn't put them on correctly. It's because of you want to extend the wear of your bar. You flip it over each time you sharpen your chain, or it doesn't have to be each time you sharpen your chain, but just figure out when it is. Every third or fifth time, flip it over, and that way you get to utilize the groove on both sides, because they do wear. If your saw starts to cut crooked and it's just not working very well, flip your bar over. Chances are it will cut again, and you can get 50% more life out of it. So what I do before I service my saw, I put just an arrow on there to remind me which way it was up. When I took it off, I'll put that arrow down when I reinstall it, and this arrow will wear off, and I'll do it again by the time next time I use it. But that's the reason why bars are upside down. And if your bar quits cutting well, don't throw it away. You can take it to a saw shop, and they have a special jig that will rework this groove, and it's cheap, $7 or $8. They'll typically do that for a bar, where a new bar like this can cost $60 to $80. So if it's not cutting right, take it in, and that's a common thing. They can do that for you. There, now you can see there's the oil hole, and you'll have them on both sides, so whichever way you orient your bar, it'll lubricate. Now that we've got our bar sorted, I'm going to install a brand new chain. And for me, happiness is a brand new square chisel cut full skip chain. I'm going to show you real quickly the difference between a proper chain and the chain that's going to come with a lot of your big box stores. The health and safety people have got to chains, and I'll show you what the difference is. So a lot of the chains you're going to get at Lowe's and Home Depot are these safety chains, I guess I'm going to call it, for lack of a better word. And you can see they've got a lot of teeth on them, really close together, and big, heavy, clunky things, and they don't cut very well. The reason why they put the teeth so close together on these is it prevents I guess it prevents the chainsaw from kicking back on you. But they don't cut very good, and they take a heck of a long time to sharpen. What you want is a full skip chain, like you see right here. Has half as many teeth. This is a professional chain, and it's chisel ground, and there's just no comparison. You can see how much closer together those teeth are. So when you're going to pick up a chain, go to a steel dealership or any place that handles pro saws and tell them you want a chisel ground full skip chain. All right, before you install your chain, take your adjuster and take it all the way back. As I'm turning this screw, you can see the adjuster pin is moving towards the rear of the saw. Put the chain on the tip. Hit the tip first and just pull a little bit of tension with it. Line it up in the grooves on the top. And then keeping that tension on there, put it in your sprocket. And line it up like that. Now before I put the cover on, I'll bring this up, bring a little bit of tension up on this. And just be sure you're watching that the teeth fall into the groove on the bottom of the bar. Break on you in the field, but if you keep your saw in good running condition and it starts easily like they should, they just last a long